right, so I just watched Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If you don't know, this is a spin-off of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem movie, which came out last year. And it is basically the latest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated series, except it's actually in the same continuity as the current ongoing movie franchise. I don't think that that's ever happened before, so it's kind of interesting. Now, the first thing that I'll say about this show is that I love the art style. So, as you can see here, it doesn't look like necessarily like the art style from the movie. It's a lot more like straight up 2D animated. It definitely has more of like a like a doodle sort of style to it, like that you would draw on like a notebook or something. But I think it really works because most of the time, whenever you get like a like a Nickelodeon spin-off of like an animated DreamWorks franchise or whatever, like the immediate example that comes to my mind is like Kung Fu Panda, Legends of Awesomeness, and they just try to do like the art style from the movie, and it really does just look cheap. Like if you look at Poe's face there, it just looks fucking weird. But to me, this is great. Like it's different from the movie art style, but it still keeps true to like the spirit of the movie art style, which also did have almost like that hand-drawn doodle sort of style. But the way that Tales of the TMNT do it, it's definitely cheaper, but it doesn't feel cheaper. It just feels like its own unique art style. And so at no point watching this show did I ever go, "Ooh, that looks like a cheap version of the movie." Like it honestly never happened. The other thing that I think makes it feel, authentic is the fact that they have most of the cast back. Like I'm pretty sure all of the turtles, I'm pretty sure it's all the same kids that voiced them in the movie. And if they did get somebody else, then it sounds pretty much exactly the same. A lot of the side characters are back. Like they have Ayo Edibiri as April. And I believe a lot of the like other side characters like Leatherface or Leatherhead or something. I don't know, whatever. And even like Post Malone is back, and it all just feels very authentic. I will say the one guy that they weren't able to bring back for sure is Jackie Chan. That being said, they do an interesting thing with Splinter. I don't want to necessarily spoil what it is, but they do an interesting thing with him that actually even makes that aspect of it not feel as bad. So overall, like as far as this being a thing that is in the same canon as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, and it following that up and it feeling authentic, I think this does a great job of that. I don't think at any point watching this, you're going to be like, "Ugh, this feels like a cheaper version of it." It honestly does not feel that way at all. Where we do come into, I'm not even going to say an issue, but just something to note, is the fact that with it being in the same continuity as Mutant Mayhem, it's not really able to like further the characters and like further the world too much. So like, at the end of Mutant Mayhem, I guess spoiler alert if you haven't seen Mutant Mayhem, but at the end of Mutant Mayhem, they revealed that Splinter is going to be in the sequel. Well, Splinter's not here. You're not seeing the Foot Clan or anything like that. There's a lot of like character, like just mainstay TMNT characters that are also just not here, right? Like Bebop and Rocksteady, they're mentioned. They're not in here at all. Casey Jones is another TMNT staple. He's not here at all because by the time he's introduced, it's definitely going to be in a movie. They're not going to introduce him randomly in a streaming service spin-off animated series. And what's the other guy? The brain alien, TMNT bad guy. Like he's not here. Like the villains in the show are villains that, quite frankly, I don't even know if they are TMNT villains, but I'd never heard of them. like, um, and actually, I guess this actually leads into the other thing about it is that there are actually only 2 plots in the series, because it's actually very interesting. So most of the time, whenever you're getting like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Saturday morning cartoon, they have to structure like the series around you being able to watch each episode on its own. So every episode is its own like self-contained thing, or at least I should say that's how, obviously like these sorts of cartoons usually worked back in the day. I'll be honest, I never really watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoons that much growing up. But the way that this works is that it's 12 episodes. 6 of the episodes, like the first 6 episodes, are one interconnected story, and then the other 6 episodes are another interconnected story. And so, like, for the first 6 episodes, it's just about this like robot plot where there's a villain. Their name is Bishop. I actually hold on. I did look that up earlier, and while I was watching the show, Bishop is a villain that has appeared in TMNT before. But yeah, like, Bishop is building a bunch of robots, and that's the first 6 episodes. And then the other 6 episodes, the villains are this like gang of fish mutants. And that's it. And one thing that I could see TMNT fans having a problem with is just the fact that maybe the show just doesn't feel expansive enough, and it doesn't feel like they're necessarily allowed to introduce like big mainstay popular TMNT villains. I don't know. I could see that being a criticism. It's not really one that I have personally, because I did enjoy like the Bishop storyline for the first 6 episodes, and I did enjoy like the Fish Gang storyline in the latter half of the season. I actually found those villains to be pretty cool and pretty compelling, and I like the fact that the episodes like very much flowed into each other, and it wasn't just like a Saturday morning cartoon where each episode is like a villain of the week thing and it's its own self-contained story. Like, the fact that it was all able to build on each other, I actually thought was really cool. And I think it's just like the advantage of the fact that, hey, this is a streaming show. Like, it's not really a Nickelodeon show, although it might air on Nickelodeon. I don't see why they wouldn't, but it is a primarily made for streaming series. And I think it's really cool that they were able to capitalize on that. But yeah, and then the other thing is that it's called Tales of the TMNT. It is very much like the way that it's structured is that for each arc, there are the 2 arcs, and they are structured around one of the characters telling a tale, So, like, the first 6 episodes are very much structured around Donatello writing a comic book about one of his adventures, and that's kind of the lens through which the story is told. And then the second half of the series is like basically, I don't want to necessarily spoil anything. This is going to sound kind of weird, but it makes sense when you watch it. But Raphael, he's telling the story of the last 6 episodes, sort of like telling it as if he was Splinter. And yeah, I like the whole motif there of it being Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it's Donatello and Raphael telling the tales or whatever. I think that's pretty cute. As far as major criticisms, I don't really have much. I guess what I will say is that the writing doesn't necessarily feel as strong as Mutant Mayhem. Like, there were a couple of jokes that I think fell a little flat, didn't necessarily feel as sharp or as witty. As far as like it having a really strong emotional core to it, it has its moments for sure. Like, it definitely has its moments, but it doesn't necessarily hit as strong as I maybe would have wanted it to. But at the end of the day, like, those criticisms are not very strong. It very much is an enjoyable series. If you liked Mutant Mayhem, I definitely think you're going to watch this, or I definitely think you're gonna like it, and I recommend watching it. If you haven't seen Mutant Mayhem, you can watch this, but I mean, you should watch Mutant Mayhem because this is just a really great movie. But I mean, you technically could just jump into this, and especially if you have familiarity with TMNT, I mean, you'll have a decent enough time. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool that they did this, and I think this is probably the best like cartoon animated series spin-off of an animated movie franchise. Like, I feel like this is just leagues above like Kung Fu Panda Legends of Awesomeness. I think this is leagues above, I remember they did, what was it, like a Monsters versus Aliens? I remember they did a spin-off series on Nickelodeon about that. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume it's better than the Megamind animated series. I don't know if you remember that, but that looked awful. Like, I don't think there's ever been an animated series spin-off that has felt as authentic as this, and I really appreciate it. So let me know what you think if you've seen it, and if you haven't seen it, let me know if you're going to watch it in the comments down below. Like the video if you want to. If you don't want to, dislike it, I guess. I don't know. But I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.